Alright, here we go with game number 2. Technically this was like game number 3, but game number 2 of what I have uploaded. Ryan decides he wants to go first. He rolls up 2 shields and a fist. Obviously one of those dice of the 4 is put out because he's going first on the in the game, so he can't roll 4. Gonna field a sidekick, I would imagine, and pay 2 for picking up one of those Kree soldiers. Using the question mark as a fist, passing on over to me. And let's see what we do with 4 energy. Roll up 2 sidekicks. Oh man, I am really good at rolling sidekicks in these 4 games. So we'll fix one of those sidekicks, field a sidekick, and pay 3 for a mimic. If you watch the first game, mimic did not really pay off until the very end. Let's see if he does a better job of rolling early so that we can take advantage of that really good early game and mid game ramp that he provides. So rolling up 4 energy over on Ryan's side, he looks like he's going to pay 3 for something and save a mask to make a second sidekick. So what do you pay 3 for here? Maybe a Shriek or Scarlet Witch is what he went for last time, both Shriek and Scarlet Witch early. He also could pick up a Ricochet, which makes a lot of sense based on you know, wanting to buy Angela and Ricochet early so you can set up your ramp. Looks like he's going to go with Scarlet Witch, trying to find ways to shut down the very one-sided nature of the combo, since he can't really do stuff to shut down actions except for buying Scarlet Witch. Rolling up, we get another sidekick and we get 3 energy. So keeping that sidekick isn't that bad. On this team, we did switch out before this game began. We what's that? We swapped out the Thor Global, the Thor card, for Uncommon Malekith, which means fielding these sidekicks is actually really beneficial for us because now they're 2/2s if we can get Malekith out instead of 1/1s. And so we have an alternate win con if he does go ahead and shut down our action-based win condition like he did this time. So he rolls up 2 sidekicks. We are sidekick crazy over in these games. He's got 2 energy otherwise. He could fix one of those. Looks like he's just going to scoop it all. And rolls up 4 energy. So I would buy Angela here. It makes a lot of sense. Get your stuff going. No, he's going to buy Ricochet first again. So a Ricochet first doesn't make a ton of sense in my mind because you'd want to pick up the Angela before you can actually do anything with Ricochet in the first place. I guess because you're lowering your bag count continually by getting more sidekicks out there, buying the early stuff, the cheaper stuff is good. Getting your bag thinner is a good. Maybe that's the reason. Maybe that's why he's doing it. Wow, 2 more sidekicks, all before we've even seen Mimic. We could have 5 sidekicks in the field. How crazy is that? At this point, we're both chuckling to ourselves. I'm chuckling in a very sad manner because we do not need that many sidekicks unless we have Malekith. So gonna re-roll it all, wanting to get Orc Knob, which we bought, I believe, last turn. Orc Knob does not come up. It comes up on the 2 mask side, so we could make 2 sidekicks with it, or we could pay 4 here and pick up that Malekith, and then use 1 mask remaining to field a sidekick. At which point we would have, let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so 2 in the bag plus Malekith right now. So, or excuse me, 2 in the bag plus Mimic right now. So the bag would be pretty thin if we did that. It'd be even thinner if we made 2 sidekicks. But we don't purchase anything if we do that. Yeah, picking up a Malekith and making a sidekick on Ryan's turn. We could have purchased some like 2-drop. He goes ahead and makes a sidekick as well. And he's going to draw, see what he draws. 2 sidekicks, the Scarlet Witch and the very first turn Kree Soldier purchase. Scarlet Witch comes right out, so we'll see a switch early. As opposed to the first game where he didn't roll it for several turns. And he's got 4 energy here. Unfortunately, he does not have a bolt, so he cannot buy Angela, which is what you would want to do. So he's going to go through another bag cycle without his win condition, but he will pick up a Black Widow, which is good. That'll go into the bag, and oh, he's changing his mind. He wants to give the Captain America a shot, which is cool. There were some people that commented on the very first video that I uploaded, about how Captain America does feel like overkill, and we talked about it after playing all 4 games. It does seem a lot like overkill, but let's see if he makes it work during this game. Because it does give the sidekicks infiltrate as well. And he does have a sidekick maker, and so do I. So that seems like a pretty good strategy. We miss the Mimic on the first roll, and we miss him on the second roll. Wow, these rolls, these games, they're not the best. So we can do what we did in that previous game by buying a Jubilee, or we could buy a Shriek, and then use both my copy and his copy of the Professor X Global to make 2 sidekicks, leaving us with 6 sidekicks in the field and a Malekith in the bag. That seems pretty good. Looks like we're going to take Jubilee instead of a Shriek. Shriek probably better here instead of floating the energy. It is cool to put the combo together. Combo pieces are important, and we have 1 Orc Knob and we have 1 Jubilee. Now going this route, and Seething Corruption does cost us a hard 4 instead of a soft 3 like before with the Thor Global. So we end up sticking with the Jubilee purchase. I could see it going either way. Shriek there is really good. It's efficient with your energy, using all of your energy. We will end up floating 1 mask because we cannot use that Professor X Global 3 times. Captain America does not show up, neither does Ricochet. Both of those need to be re-rolled. He also chooses to re-roll the shield. And Ricochet comes up, a sidekick comes up as well. But Captain America, a no-show, very similar to my 3-cost Mimic. He's going to fix and pay 4 for an Angela, which is exactly what you should do. I have not watched this game back since we actually played it, so some of these plays I won't actually remember what is going on. So a little bit of surprise for me along with you guys. Fielding a sidekick, using the Mimic energy, the 2 masks. And he's going to pass over to me. I've got 6 sidekicks. I've got 3 from the bag, 1 Orc Knob, 1 Malekith, and 1 sidekick. And we get to roll Mimic again, which is really unfortunate because all of these characters cost to field. Luckily, we don't have Orc Knob here on a character face, so we can technically pay for both of these. So 1 for Malekith and 1 for Mimic, copying a sidekick, would allow us to ramp and gives us 6 2/2s on the board, which is pretty good. And this is the good thing about having a secondary win condition. You have more threats, you have more things your opponent has to deal with. So we have 6 2/2s on the board, and he has a pretty wide board as well, but you know, it's not 6 2/2s worth of wide. So he does have to think about trying to block and trying not to die just from physical damage. And as long as we keep fixing sidekicks, it's okay that they go to used and cycle back into our bag. Plus we have Mimic, so we can cycle them very quickly. So we definitely want to push here with some number of sidekicks. We've got 8 characters in the field. It looks like he has 5, 3 sidekicks, 1 Shriek, and 1 Scarlet Witch, and 1 Jubilee. So pushing with a lot of sidekicks is good here because his sidekicks do not trade into mine. We will give him some ramp. I wonder if we push with all 6. We only push with 4, which means he only has to block that way. We don't get to KO the Ricochet. I don't know what the Ricochet stat line is because it's impossible to ever see the Ricochet stat line because it is white on neon. And that's just insane. It's insane to print that. You can't even see that. Even when you're sitting in person, it's hard to see that stat line. He rolls up a bunch of stuff here. He's got 1 infiltrate character that's going to come out and join the party. No sidekicks, so his board is back to being thin. My board stayed because he full blocked, which means we've got 6 2/2s that he has to account for each turn, unless he just takes a bunch of that damage. Probably should have pushed with at least 5 last turn to make everything block or to make some damage go through. Pushing with all 6 sidekicks last turn would have probably been good too. He's going to re-roll 4 of his energy, probably looking for sidekicks, just to continually account for that physical damage and not take too much that route. And then he's going to buy a Shriek here, which is a smart thing. Any physical damage he takes does make it easier for us to kill him all in one go with the Seething Corruption Jubilee combo, of which he has not blanked yet. He is going to fix 2 sidekicks, so he has some sidekicks back in the board. Looks like he's got a board full of 5 total characters, 2 sidekicks, a couple infiltrate characters, and that Scarlet Witch. We do have a soft counter for Scarlet Witch in a Cerarax Global, so we don't necessarily have to Shriek Scarlet Witch. We will have to Shriek whatever he shrieks if we want to go the OTK route. We could also kill him right here if we somehow just push past all of his attackers, or all of his blockers, but probably not. Especially because we didn't roll the Jubilee, which is probably fine too, because Jubilee costs 2 to field on our top side. And it looks like we rolled Orc Knob, and we're going to have to pay 1 to field him. We could have always fixed though, so fix one of the sidekicks out of the field and pay to field both of those if they had both come up. So what to do here with the energy? We could pay 3 and then fix a sidekick from the used into the field and prep some dice, but we would probably take burn damage there because I don't think we have anything in the bag right now. So what we want to do is push some of our sidekicks to where unblockable damage goes through, or unblocked characters go through in the form of sidekicks, and fill our bag back up so we don't take burn damage. But definitely fielding the Orc Knob here, and definitely purchasing, most likely purchasing a Shriek of our own. Probably be the best bet. Of course, we can't do all of that and make a sidekick, so how important is making a sidekick? In this moment, not very.
Pay 2 to buy another Orc Knob.
It looks like we should have had to pay to field that. I believe he's an Orc Knob is fielding on all 3 sides, so that might be a mistake. One of those things that happens when you go too far in the tank trying to see ahead, too many lines, you forget to do something. So I believe I should have had to pay to field that Orc Knob there, meaning that this sidekick, if I fix it, will be illegal. But it looks like Ryan doesn't see it either. He's probably thinking about what he wants to do his next turn. So he is going to take some damage here, only blocking with 3 characters. So the 2 sidekicks will KO. He will take, what, 6 damage, I believe, because he left 3 sidekicks unblocked, and they're 2/2s. So that's going to send 3 to our used. And he's going to reload and roll up. Yes, it does look like we should have paid 1 to field that Orc Knob. Ah, Angela comes out. This is where his team really starts to come together. Once you've gotten Angela to stick, you can buy up as many infiltrate characters as you can and just keep pushing with them, because every time infiltrate will trigger, you will prep a die because you've already got Ricochet. So now he gets to start dealing some damage. He picks up that Black Widow finally, making a sidekick, but that sidekick is technically illegal. Prepping 2. We could have just let that Orc Knob, you know, float, go on into used. Would have been just fine doing that.
Okay. 17 and you prep 3.
See if it comes into play here in a moment. So he hits me for 3 infiltrate, preps 3 dice. Of those 3 dice, those are looking really powerful, which is pretty gross.
Only 4 in the bag.
On to our turn. We are rolling that Orc Knob. And we've got all energies, no character faces whatsoever.
Go again.
Scooping back up, re-rolling, we've got character face and character face. Got another sidekick so we could prep some dice here, fielding a sidekick. We've got to pay to field both of those, and it looks like that's Jubilee on top side, because it looks like that's a 4/3 stat line. Which means we have to pay 2 to field her. And then I'm imagining we have to pay 2 to field that Orc Knob as well. Looks like that's 2. So we can't actually field both of them and field that sidekick.
Well, we don't have to field that necessarily.
I mean, technically we could field the sidekick, prep 2, then spin it back down into the field, and then field both of those characters.
Take bag burn. Bag burn's not.
Using the Billy Club Global, of course. Once you've fielded that sidekick, you can just then turn it back into a mask. It seems like a pretty good play. You prep 2 dice. Field 2 characters. You got 4 that would go into used because you're not purchasing this turn, so the 4 sidekick character dice, the white ones, would go to used, and then you'd prep whatever's in the bag, but I don't think... What is in the bag? A Shriek that we've purchased? Or what did we purchase last time? That Orc Knob. So there might not actually be anything in the bag.
Spin the sidekick to a mask. Pay 2.
So paying 2 to field there. We fixed the sidekick. Why fix the sidekick if not to set up an energy? This seems like a strange turn here. Seems like we would want to buy and then burn. It looks like yes. I'm just now realizing I didn't need to fix that sidekick. Whoops. We can still use a sidekick maker on Ryan's turn to make a sidekick and prep whatever we want, and we could, you know, prep that orc knob. But we can't actually purchase anything. So we're gonna go ahead and pass turn. Can't actually purchase it like a 2-drop because then you don't have a sidekick maker, right? Because we used our spin down. It all kind of went wrong. That was a bad turn. We actually probably should have pushed with some sidekicks as well. That was one of those tilty kind of turns where you just get tilted when you make a mistake. It's an important thing to be able to kind of combat. You don't want to let yourself get too tilted and then forget to do something that's very important. That could be a problem. We do see Shriek and a Captain America, so now this is going to get pretty bad pretty quick. When you have a combination of Angela and Captain America, the super rare from the Civil War set, or is that the Guardian set? I can't actually remember. I think it's the Guardian set, yeah, because Infiltrate was introduced in the Guardian set. When you have those two combined in the field zone, then you have this opportunity to just field a bunch of sidekicks, and those act as your Infiltrate characters. And he has one sidekick here. He's got the ability to shriek something. I wonder what he's going to choose to shriek. Probably shrieking. You don't really need to shriek Mimic. Shrieking Jubilee makes a lot of sense because then you just ping out. You keep yourself from getting all your sidekicks pinged out by Jubilee when she awakens. And he is going to name Jubilee, it looks like. You could also name Malekith there and make all the sidekicks go back to being 1/1s. This was another reason why we should have pushed last turn, because we really wanted to make him block some things or deal extra damage and re-roll some other stuff. He picks up a Kree soldier with some remaining energy. Gonna make a sidekick here and take some bag burn, I think, because I don't think there's anything in the bag. 2 will prep, 1 will go in. Yeah, we're gonna take a lot of bag burn. 2. Gonna take 2 bag burn. Alright, he's gonna infiltrate for 4. 1 sidekick plus 3 other infiltrate characters, and the cool thing about that is now he preps 4 dice. So he's got a really, really lean bag. Oh man, and he's got a nice setup too. So we dropped a 13.
Turn to you.
Alright, I can only draw 2.
And we're gonna take 2 burn damage. There's my 2 burn damage. Let's see if we pop that health down to 11 is what it should drop to now. Yep. And can we win on this turn? I don't think we actually can win on this turn because he's got such a wide board and we don't actually have a Seething Corruption yet, but he's looking like he's going to have a really powerful turn next turn. So we need to do something to stop his board from continuing to build. Unfortunately, that Jubilee that would help us wipe the board a little bit is blank, and we haven't also purchased Shriek yet. Because we went for an Orc Knob instead. So some generally bad plays on my part, it looks like, has put us really behind the 8 ball. Buying a Shriek at this point is fine, but a Seething Corruption is probably better. Shriek it feels like it's a little too far gone, and we've got the energy for it, so we might as well purchase a Seething Corruption and just hope he misses, or hope he doesn't kill us next turn, because if he rolls that Black Widow and it comes up, then he just infiltrates us to death. Because I believe he has enough infiltrate characters. The rest of this is just masks. Doesn't really do much for us, except make us take more burn damage, so we're in a really bad spot. We do need to attack, probably. I think we do need to attack here with some sidekicks to try and get something out of his field. Full push means we just die on the backswing. Yeah, maybe we just stand pat. There's really no good spot. I think he's got this game locked up. We are going to push with 5 sidekicks. Let's see if maybe he makes a mistake. That's another reason. You can just push some stuff out there and hope they miss the fact that they have a really easy lethal setup next turn. Because his lethal here is basically just roll a sidekick alongside of... oh, he is going to block with 2 sidekicks. Very interesting. He just needs to roll a couple of sidekicks along with that Black Widow, because you just need 11 damage to go through. And Black Widow doubles the damage from 1 to 2 that Infiltrate does. So I would probably just let that all sink, let that all go through. And the off chance that you miss with Black Widow, you can just make some sidekicks and keep a board, block next time.
Nothing in the bag, so 4 in, 4 out.
Yeah, so here all he needs is just to roll a Black Widow. He did sack a bunch of his sidekicks though, so Black Widow does not come up. 2 sidekicks do come up. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4 infiltrate characters if he fields that soldier. 5, 6 if he somehow lands. Well, actually, he's got 6 technically with that sidekicks there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, and there's more than lethal. So that's 7 infiltrate characters, it looks like. More than enough to field. Yeah, so you just have to pop that on the field. Each of those infiltrating characters is going to deal 2 instead of 1 because of Black Widow. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that 8?
1, 2, 3, 4,
6, 7,
5,
8.
6,
Wow,
7,
16 damage
8,
all in
1,
one
2,
go.
16
16 damage, infiltrate. I can't do anything about it. So sort of an easy win, what it looks like from his perspective. Even with a Malekith shift onto this team, he was able to kind of wipe the floor. I think I made a couple of really, really bad plays throughout that game, making some bad choices, choosing to purchase some things when I could have or should have purchased other things. Getting a Shriek early would have helped a ton, and then you know, sticking to just pure aggression with sidekicks probably was better than holding back at a few points. So a couple of things to learn. How would you change these two teams? There were a couple of really cool suggestions. I really liked the idea of switching this Malekith onto this team. And I heard someone mention, I think it was Zach Pope, mentioned dropping Team Up onto the Infiltrate team because all of the Infiltrate characters are differing affiliations, so you get some nice buffs. There's some cool things that you can do with that Infiltrate team. So leave a comment down below in this video about how you would change each of these teams, what changes you would make, what improvements you would make to it. As always, thanks for watching.